Welcome back on the AM show. We're glad to have you. And we're joined for the first belt of our big stories by, should I say a friend of mine? Yes, he is. He is a friend of mine. But he operates in very high places. He is this current administration's spokesperson on governance and security matters. And I love his name as well, Palgrave. First time I came across that was with a publishing house, Palgrave Macmillan. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah is our guest this morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, and it's good to be here. Thank you, Benjamin.
It's been a while. Yeah, I love the fact that you're starting to follow the suit with bead trend. Some people say, "Oh no, you shouldn't do suits with." Have you seen it when I rock my?
Yeah, very royalty. Yeah. And once you go there, then we need to bring a lot of greetings and blessings. I'm told that you cannot greet the chiefs and the custodians of the land, but you bring blessings to them. And so this morning, let me bring special blessings to your Sergeant Famwiti of Oripening, the King of Achimbo-Boakwa, and also bring blessings as well to the Asantehene, 2482. And then once we are in the custodian of the Ghana traditional area, bring special blessings to the Gamanche and all other people within the National House of Chiefs, including the President of the National House of Chiefs. And a very good morning to your viewing public. It's good to be here.
Now that you mentioned the chiefs, maybe I wouldn't have gone there, but especially as you mentioned chiefs, there was a recent incident with Mr. President and chiefs and everyone told to stand, and it was an interesting picture. I'm sure you know what exactly I'm referencing. Today, somewhere in the Daily Graphic, we have the NCC boss, another good friend of mine, Kathleen Addy, saying that when the national anthem is being sung, we must all stand. I think that goes without saying, not just today. It's been the case. Whenever I'm anywhere and the national anthem is being sung, I stand at ease, and it's only proper. But what happened on the day with the president even looking around almost as though to check whether everyone was standing when he was coming through, not when the anthem had been played. Some people have questioned that. This morning, Dr. Kwame Asante, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, had his own take on the matter. But what exactly happened beyond what we saw? What do you know? And how appropriate was all of that?
Well, so I think that beyond what we saw is that, yes, the chief, rightly so, has brought an apology to His Excellency, the President of the land, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and has sought to give reason that he was in ill health. For which reason he couldn't stand during the playing of the national anthem. And so credit is given to his explanation. But it goes without saying very clearly that the national anthem is a national authority. Oftentimes it's played, and in fact always it is played when the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is in session. You realize that when the President is not in session, and there are other senior government officials, it's the general assassinate that is played. And then also, whilst we're growing up in our basic institutions, when we have morning assembly, the national anthem is played, the national pledge is taken, where we all put our hand on our right hand on our chest, really just pledge our loyalty and our patriotism to the Ghanaian people. I believe very well that what happened has been clearly set in record. As the chief has apologized for his conduct and explained very clearly that he was in ill health. And so I'm very certain that the matter will come to rest. But it means that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is very vigilant. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is very patriotic. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is ensuring that people continually is adhering to the love and patriotism that we have for the country.
Some say, though, that it appeared authoritarian, the approach that was used, and the Greater Accra Regional Minister and everything, the inspection and all of that. We should all rise when the national anthem is played, but where do you go off trying to identify people who are not doing it and maybe even making them uncomfortable, even at state events?
No, I don't think that the president's posture gives a posture of authoritarianism. I think that the president sought to clarify what the issue was, which is why he sent the regional minister to inquire. what the real issue was. And I think that clarity came to the bear when the stool team sent a letter of apology. I've seen a copy of the letter of the apology. I've read through. I understand the issues, and I can understand that yes, the chief was on ill health, and for which reason he couldn't stand. And you know that in recent times, most of our chiefs who are becoming chiefs are not young people. They are elderly people. They are mature people, and so clearly, if they have some illnesses, I think that they can be pardoned, and the chief is pardoned, which is why they wrote an apology letter to the president to sort of bring clarity.
But wait, just clarify. I am always concerned as someone who delves into the law. You say he's pardoned. Pardoned of what? And what crime did he commit?
No, he didn't commit any crime. So when
what offense?
He didn't commit any offense. So the national anthem was played. The chief did not stand. He sought to bring an explanation and clarity to that he was of ill health. Which is why he couldn't stand. And then he sought to also bring an apology to the president. I'm sure you saw the letter. The letter states very clearly that he's apologizing to the president for not observing what we are all aware of as it relates to our patriotic duty and responsibility towards the national anthem and even towards the nation.
Interesting way to look at it, but let's take a look at the video. What actually transpired on the day. Anyway, interesting dynamics there. But let me come to you, Palgrave. It's been a while since you came into the studio for us to have a conversation. A lot has happened. We've got an IMF bailout, $600 million has hit our account, but a lot has happened in terms of our currency situation. It's not, the appreciation hasn't been what some of us would have expected. The business community is still reeling. In fact, yesterday in the Economy Times, there was a story about the business community complaining about taxation. I had one of the heads of the groups reach out to me yesterday after my show and all of that. Fuel prices are still inhibitive. I'm still having to fork out every week sums of money that I can ill afford to spend. But how do you move your car? Because the other situation, which is maybe going to board public transport, a taxi or a ride-hailing service, will cost me even more. So I must stick to using my own vehicle, a 1.6 liter engine, and how much it costs me, if I tell you, you'll be surprised. But that is my reality. All of that is happening. I just want to ask you this interesting question this morning. Palgrave, if you were not on this side of government, if you were on the other side in opposition, how would you describe Ghana now? With everything that is happening, how would you describe Ghana?
Benjamin, unfortunately, I'm not at that side.
Yes, but hypothetically, imagine yourself there. And imagine that all of this were happening and you were in opposition. What would be your train of thoughts this morning?
So, Benjamin, I think that the Ghanaian patriotism endears me to be first a patriot and a citizen of the country, and to look at things in light of my patriotic responsibility.
Okay.
So I will respond as a Ghanaian. Okay. And as a patriotic citizen, and even not even one as in government.
Is that to suggest that when you're in opposition, should that ever happen, then you would be unpatriotic in your...
Not at all. Not at all, which is why I'm taking the position of patriotism, because patriotism doesn't change.
Right.
Our governments and successive governments may change, which would put me in a very different situation. But if I choose my position as a Ghanaian, which is my civic responsibility and my child right and birth, I think that's a stable. My Ghanaian status is not going to change. So if I'm supposed to describe Ghana, I would describe Ghana from a Ghanaian perspective of an economy that is recovering. An economy that is recovering from global impacts, an economy that is recovering from excessive impact that has come as a result of global indicators and exogenous factors. We can name it, and everybody is aware of that. COVID-19, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, when the war is ongoing. If I'm supposed to discuss my reality, my reality is that yes, on a daily basis, we fuel our vehicles on a regular basis. We ensure that we have livelihood, which is ongoing. We put food on our table. The reality as well is that government is not blinded to these efforts, which is why the IMF first 600 million tranche has come in to do a number of things, debt sustainability, to ensure that CD and Forex is sustainable. I've seen that the Forex has been sustainable over the weeks since the IMF 600 million US dollars came. I've also seen that transport fares
Did you just say the CD had been
sustainable?
Not necessarily.
The CD to dollar has been.
There was a point where it jumped to one of the highs we've seen in recent times, 12.7, on the back of that.
I agree.
It's been turbulent. It fluctuates anything between 12.7 and 11 point something. I think at a point it came to 10.7, then quickly shot up. You know why it's problematic? Because then it creates a problem for the person trying to import anything into the country. So today it is this. Next thing you know, tomorrow a CD plus has been added. Now you must add so much more to it. It's just so unstable. That's why I'm questioning that word, stability.
No, I think that it's been stable. Considerably compared to years past. You recall when our city was depreciating almost every single hour.
More like last year.
And so if you compare that to what it is now, you can considerably say that it's been sustainable over the long haul. It's been sustainable to allow private citizens and private investors, business community to be able to plan. It's been sustainable enough for people who import and people who even export out of this country to be able to do their trade. And so the sustainability is in contest of the relativity of what we used to experience a year and a half ago. Transport fares have been reduced by 10%. You recall that there was an announcement that was made and the transport fares have been reduced considerably. So a number of factors really. My reality is to see that, yes, the Ghanaian economy is recovering, and it's at the backbench of ensuring that it becomes extremely robust. And at the backbench of becoming extremely robust, we also ensuring that we are fixing all the various challenges that we have faced as a result of the exogenous factors that has hit us. And I'm in no doubt in my mind that we are in mid-year. I'm in no doubt in my mind that as we roll out the enhanced program which was presented to the IMF and also ensure that our key indicators are met, I'm in no doubt in my mind that as the year rolls on, especially even towards the Q4 of the year, we'll see a lot more fruits and results as it relates to the Ghanaian economy.
Let me avert your mind to some other developments. If I am tempted to stay on the trajectory of the economy, because usually the bread and butter issues are of a great concern to me, and the stories that keep coming to me, and the people that keep wanting you to send some momo when they don't know that you yourself, you are sticking it, slumming it hard, just trying to keep your head above water. But two stories that came to us in the papers today, I'd love to run them by you. Stalled roadworks pose danger, and you can talk about most of the interchanges, the Boakye-Danquah Highway or Beche-Bilamte interchange, Junction Mall at Nungwa, Tishi Town Roads, Zongo Junction, outer lanes on both sides of the N1. I just want you to take a look at this. And this is what I'm showing him. I know it may be a bit tricky to see. Okay, there you are. So you can see what I'm talking about right here. Yeah? Right here. You see this?
I do.
Imagine driving on that for even a week or a month and what it could do to your car. And we see spots of this practically everywhere on major roads in the cities and all of that. And you could also take a look at this and you know, just imagine that, having to drive through that with the rains and everything. That is one angle of what I want to bring to bear. Then there's also the daily guide that says, leave doomsor to Mahama, Nana teases. And that story, I read it this morning. I want to bring that to your attention as well. And just to quote what Mr. President says, he has assured Ghanaians that no matter the challenges the country may be going through, his government will not return to the dark days of intermittent power outages, famously known as doomsor. That, he said, was because his government had put in place effective measures to prevent the recurrence of the menace. Now, those 2 points, these, with the harsh economy and everything we're going through, the state of our roads is debilitating, devastating. Recently, we started something, we call it the Ghana Potholes Exhibition. I'm sure you may have seen it. Iran Clinic, all the way to Kolebu, wherever you go, our roads are in a deplorable state. Now, for a government that has touted a lot about patching roads, constructing some, and doing so many other things, I don't know how you would react to that. I want you to tie that into this bit about leaving doomsor to Mahama. And I shared my candid thoughts with Mr. President this morning. I'll share again. A few years ago, barring what has become the talk of the town about, we may have not had such a good deal when we engaged our independent power producers. At the time, in fact, when you're in a crisis, who gives you a loan without certain requirements? Not in the banking sector, and definitely not when you're bringing to bear a gas situation to power your energy needs. When Mr. President says we should leave doomsor to Mahama, I ask, I don't know where you live, but in recent times, for the last few months, from Adenta to Adregano, to East Legon, to Ebri, to Abelenkpe, to Jowlu, to Newtown, to Tessano, to Dakoman, the power outages have been very frequent in some places. And sometimes I am in these places. I was at an event in Tema the other day at a hotel, I don't want to mention, and the power kept going on and off. I was host of the program, and the power kept going on and off. They had to power with their own plant. We have moved from having excess capacity to 2021 when we exhausted that. We kept saying, we've paid for so much at excess capacity. Now we don't have excess capacity. In fact, in the next few years, we're going to have to get more capacity on board, which means more IPPs. The fear, the warning from experts is that if we don't get this together, we're going to end up in major doomsor again. I don't know whether Mr. President is aware of this with his rhetoric that we should leave doomsor to Mahama. By the way, the former administration dealt with doomsor. There was no doomsor when your party took over in 2017. How do you address these 2 issues?
Well, Benjamin, I don't think that the president makes rhetorics. The president of the land is the first gentleman of the land. Very clearly, he speaks based on facts and evidence. But let me start with the roads.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that some of what he's saying here is not fact.
No, let me start from the roads. Let me start from the roads. Roads work is enormous. Our government has sought to ensure that we have built roads, and I brought the data here the last time to your viewing public to name the number of roads that have been done since our government took over from 2017 till date. I've seen the patchment of holes that you have shown. This is very typical, and our government is going to be tackling a number of these issues. You rose the issue of the halting of infrastructural work as it relates to roads. I drove past the picture that is on the front page of the Daily Graphic.
Right.
So I think that this is around the Junction Mall.
Yes.
I drove past there yesterday. So I can appreciate this. There's a construction that is ongoing at the Junction Mall. We are building these interchanges. You've seen.
But that's been a long time. That's been a long time coming.
Very much. It doesn't take a day to build it.
I have used that stretch. I mean, because we do some of our habitat fairs and the rest there, I have been using that. It's same. Nothing has changed.
No, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. I use that road as well. I use that road.
Shortly, we'll show you the Accra Academy stretch, and you'll see that place for yourself.
No, when it rains, the issues that we used to have over the years, we do not have that because you see, there's construction ongoing. And obviously, when there's construction ongoing, there would be some challenges as it relates to water gathering.
So that's the stretch in your shot. And these are potholes. It has nothing to do with the rain. Of course, the rain makes it worse, but it has nothing to do with on a daily basis.
I can understand. Our government is going to tackle all these roads, which is already budgeted for.
When?
No, it's ongoing. The number of parchment roads that are ongoing as I speak to you now. So we don't want to take the issues out of context to say that our government is neglecting these roads, the number of roads that our government has been tackling over the years. And I've mentioned that on your platform as well. So a number of these constructions, I mean, even on the Pokwase in Sawarum lane, there's huge construction that is ongoing. They do morning, they do night, they do evening, they do dawn. And they are redirecting the roads as well to make sure that pedestrians and motorists are having access to it. And so I can appreciate these issues. But we have launched the Year of Roads considerably to ensure that the various road challenges and the road networks and the parchments that need to be done will be taken care of. Now, let me go to
doomsor.
On doomsor.
But let me just find out. Let me add. You know, the IPPs are saying that to stay afloat, they'll need $450 million. We're indebted to them to the tune of $1.5 billion. I really don't know how we're going to get out of that scrape, because they've threatened if by the end of this month, the 30th day of this month, we don't deal with that situation, they would either start rationing, you know what that means, doomsor, or totally go off the grid. We're talking about 70% of our power needs.
Benjamin, you have no question.
So, that is why I find it so curious, the trajectory on which Mr. President chooses to go.
Because where Mr. President sits, you and I don't sit there.
I see.
Yes.
I'm hoping he knows something that we don't know.
Absolutely.
Because we've spoken to Mr. Ametokbo, we've spoken to the IPPs, we've spoken to the energy experts.
Where Mr. President sits. Benjamin, you would appreciate that. Where Mr. President sits, you and I don't sit there.
Do you know why I'm a bit... I accept what you're saying. Where he sits, what he gets to see, what he gets to know, I do not know. I accept. But sometimes, if you recall his utterances on the back of... before the IMF deal, on the back of, so when we get the first tranche, this is what we're going to be able to do. And then subsequently saying, now we're going to be able to access the loan market and all of that. Then sometimes I begin to question what sort of filler he gets. That is why I'm also a bit curious about this. That's the point I want to make. But you go ahead.
I can appreciate that, but I can say that, I mean, some of the things that the president says has been taken out of context. I mean, like I state, let me re-emphasize that where the president and Danquah Kufuor sit, you and I do not sit there. And so when the president makes statements, it's in context of the information that he knows and then how well he's driving this country into the right path. So the president has stated that doomsor is a thing of the past. I want to trust what the president says.
Did your government end doomsor?
I want to.
Did this administration end doomsor?
Absolutely.
You did?
Absolutely.
What did you do?
Absolutely. Since we came, have you seen any doomsor?
No. I'm saying, did your administration end doomsor? How did you do it?
Since we came, have you experienced any doomsor?
No, but was it on the back of anything you did?
At the time, you know, government is successive, okay? At a time when...
No. Let's do this. Let's do this exercise. If you did something, if you added a kilovolt or a kilowatt or whatever, you'd be able to say, we did this, we constructed this, it gave us this amount of electricity, and on the back of that, we ended doomsor. The other side can say that. What did your party do?
Benjamin, we came in 2017.
Right.
Obviously, when we picked up the Ghanaian economy, we sought to recover the Ghanaian economy. We grew at a single-digit inflation over the couple of years from 2017, 2018, 2019, until we were hit with COVID-19. We ensured that we kept the lights on. The lights have been on considerably. I mean, these IPPs negotiations that didn't go well, we rebudgeted that as well, and then we renegotiated and saved the Ghanaian economy a lot of US dollars. The finance minister alluded to that. Clearly.
Can I go back to the question of what exactly you did to end doomsor?
No, you want to say that we didn't end.
You corroborated. You said that you had ended doomsor. And I'm asking, what did you do? Did you add anything to our electricity grid? Did you add anything to our power needs? Actually, why we're here now is because you've added practically nothing. That is why now, you see, you've added practically nothing. I'm not saying nothing. I said you've added practically nothing.
No, but
and the excess capacity. No, here's the thing.
You don't have
why we've moved from excess capacity to now being on the threshold of, with our population increment and everything, in the next few years, having to likely face doomsor again, It's because of that. That's why I'm asking you, what exactly have you done?
The Ghanaian people are not going to experience doomsor again in the next few years.
But that can't just be a beggar's wish, wishing for horses to ride.
I'm telling you.
It must be practical, what you're doing.
I'm telling you on fact. What I wanted to say is even on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. It says ECG backup Accra power supply. The president opened it up, inaugurated close to about $40 million US dollars, 161 kV electricity.
You're talking about the 161 kV?
Yes.
I am saying that something has been done, but you've done practically nothing compared to what was done before.
Did you see the bulk distribution in Pokwasi?
So that should save us from doomsor. Is that what you're saying?
The number of considerable involvement and the number of considerable...
Do you think the energy experts have been interacting with, who know of all this, are not aware when they tell you that? Do you know what our electricity consumption is?
Obviously, I'm aware. I'm aware of what our electricity consumption is. I'm aware that the Ghanaian people contribute to a number of these issues. Which is why I'm stating that if you state that in the next few years, we're going to experience doomsor, I think it's inappropriate.
I am not saying it, actually. It's all the energy experts I interacted with, I think only yesterday, some in Oman, others in this country, who are saying that, look, where we are in terms of our energy mix, we are now trying to go nuclear. That's been a long time coming. Since Nkrumah, we've not got that done yet. But with what we have currently, and the add-ons and the increments in our population, and the fact that we've moved from excess capacity to where we are now, if we're not careful in the next few years, 2, 3, 4 years, doomsor will be back. And it will, imagine it got resolved by 2017. If we go back to that, how would that make any sense?
We're not going to go back to doomsor.
But we're experiencing power outages now.
I have no experience the power outages that you're talking about.
Where do you live?
The area I live in this country.
I mean, I don't know, from my camera people in the studio to my director. Mr. Director, whisper to me, do you ever get any power outages?
Power outrages. I live in
every day. Do you mind telling us where you live?
I live in the communities where people live. I live in the communities where people live.
Everybody here, from my producer to my director to my sound person to me.
You experience power outages?
Massa, practically every week.
Really?
That's why I'm asking, where do you live?
I live in this country.
Hey,
I live in the communities where the people live. And that's the truth. That's the truth, Benjamin. I drive.
All right, so I want us to do this.
I drive around town. I don't see any power.
One of my camera people is, you can see him. You can look at him. He's saying every 2 days. He gets a power outage. So this is what I want you to do, Ghana for. If you've been experiencing a power outage in your community, shoot me a message on Facebook. And if not, Mr. Producer, Derek Ekosam, do I have your permission? I'm activating the phone lines now. If you've experienced power outages in the last week or two, whatever your community is, just call 0302 211 691. We'll add your conversations into this 0302 211 691. Call that number, let me know. And if you've also not been experiencing power outages, also call and let us know. Corroborate what he's saying.
There may be reasons why other sectors of the country is experiencing power outages. But the sizable part of the sectors within this country, I can say of a truth, are not experiencing power outages. That's the truth. I don't see that people in Adenta, Nima, or Choko, those areas.
Okay, just a second.
I don't see
Alhaji Karim is on the line calling from New Legon. Alhaj, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, sir. Please, when you call, straight to the point so that we can take as many as possible.
This is Alhaji Karim calling for New Legon, Katamanso. Every 2-3 days, that off is off. Every 2-3 days off.
Katamanso, New Katamanso, you said.
Katamanso, New Legon. Katamanso, that was like going to the Katamanso and then, how do you call it, people station, yeah.
Every 2 or 3 days, light off.
Every 2 days, light off. Every 2 days, off and on. You can go off more than 5 hours, 6 hours, more than 3 hours, more than 4 hours. It depends. But every 2-3 days.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So we have one person who has called in. What really gets me sometimes, Palgrave, is that there was this day I could count within a 24-hour cycle between one day and the next day. My lights had gone off and returned 6 times.
Benjamin,
6 times.
Where do you live?
I'll leave that for now.
You can say
I'll leave that out.
In the public, like the way I can say mine as well.
but it's really worrying, especially when you have equipment. So imagine, part of that time, I was at home. So you see your equipment going on, off, your fridge, Thomas is on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yes, madam. I'm speaking from Tachiman. Tachiman, we don't experience power outage.
Where did you say, Tachiman?
Tachiman, we don't experience it. But I was in Sampa, it was to and that's why we should blame the EC. And we should blame the ACG people. Tachiman, no power outage.
All
At
right.
the moment, I'm in my room watching you.
All right,
Tachiman,
thank you.
No. Yeah, but I traveled to Sampa and a day 4 times. So I think the
Sampa.
ECG people, yes, Sampa place.
Okay.
German North.
All right. All right.
So then we should blame the EC.
We should blame the ECG.
Yeah,
but you know, they just distribute. They don't produce power. But thank you.
But if the equipment are not good, they should repair them for us. Because they are spoiling our things. When I go to Sampa, my fridges, everything is spoiled.
All right, thank you, Thomas, for sharing your thoughts. We'll also be reaching out to our Bono East regional correspondent. I don't mean today, but we'll be getting some of these details from them to find out what exactly is happening. This one, Aminatu sends a message. She says, light out there almost every day, even last night at Kaswa and on Monday morning at Botim and Snit Flats. So that's a message coming through. All right, so we'll take a last call on this one so we can move forward with the conversation. Jacob, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Palgrave, Zuarugu specifically.
Zuarugu?
Zuarugu, yes.
All right. What's the situation there in terms of power?
Since yesterday, we have unstable power supply. It's coming off on phone. It's just like a disco light.
All right. So you find yourself in some sort of disco, eh?
Off and on, like disco light. After night, it's still happening.
All right. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your thoughts. Jacob, Thomas, Alhaj, among others. So there you have it. You have your verdict.
Yeah, I do. I do have my verdict. It's not a full representation.
We have something from up north. We have something from in town. We have Techiman. At least it's representative.
No, not entirely.
No, but it's representative. You have a triangle from different aspects of the country.
An entire description, but I can appreciate that. I would go and have an investigation into it. And I think that at a later date, we can have a broader conversation on why these issues are happening. And I'm sure that with your credible source as well, you can invite ECG to come here and explain why these issues are happening so that we can be able to move on to these issues. But we need to state emphatically, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says that we should leave doomsor in the past. I believe him, I trust him, and I know that that's the truth. And also, we're also ensuring that as a government, whatever that is needed to be done to keep our lights on a regular basis, we will do that. And that's what the people of this country have voted for us to do.
Recently, we heard the Vice President saying that come 2024, in fact, from now, when your party elects a flag bearer and all of that, you are going to be campaigning on your, what did he say? Your record. He said something in particular, your credentials as a party, your record. And some were asking, what record exactly? The economy is flailing. Corruption is on the ascendancy. In fact, it's risen to the highest that we've seen in any time within this Fourth Republic, one of the highest, probably. Why? Because we have the Corruption Perception Index. We also have, last year, I don't know whether you followed, the Ghana Statistical Service, in conjunction with one of the UN agencies, came out with not a perception index, but a reality index, which targeted all state institutions. And again, it was a stark reality that we had to face. You can talk at different facets. We were just talking about roads. We're talking about power issues. So what exactly is the NPP going to campaign on to break the 8?
Benjamin, the NPP political party has exceeded much of what we even said we would do. We put together 16 flagship programs from 2017. You can take a pen and start listing them. Free SHS, number 1. Number 2, 1 district, 1 factory. We've deployed that. Number 3, the digitalization of the Ghanaian economy is the thread within which the economy strives. We've digitalized the Ports and Harbour. As I speak to you, the Ports and Harbour is digitalized. We've digitalized DVLA. We've digitalized the passports. We've digitalized birth and death. As I speak to you, every single child that is born as I speak to you now would have a unique number from birth till death. We've sought to have a unique address system for every single household. A thing of the past, of the blue kiosk, of the lotto kiosk, of the watches seller has become a thing of the past. We've digitalized and decentralized every single aspect of the Ghanaian economy. We've brought in drones, zipline drones that distribute medication and health activities. In terms of infrastructure, we're building this Agenda 111, which are at various stages of completion. We can look into that at a later date. We spoke about roads. I mean, we've done considerably a number of roads, highways, parchment roads. We can appreciate the various ones that are undone yet, but it would not be left undone. Those roads will be done before our government ends its tenure. Number of things that we have done. We have also sought to bring in assembling of vehicles. We have assembling of vehicles in this country that are ongoing. Education. We've brought in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to enable that the young people have an opportunity to start their dream career, even from a younger age. We've brought in free TVET. So the number of successes that the Ghanaian economy has struck is enormous.
You've mentioned a number of things. If I asked you what the impact of those had been, what exactly would you say?
No, I think that the impact is felt by the Ghanaian people. The one district, one factory, the impact is felt by the Ghanaian people. There were existing industries that we reboost them. That in fact is felt by the Ghanaian people. I have a list here if you want me to go through.
We have a hotline documentary, I think, one district, no factories, and all of that.
Well,
you can take a look at that and tell me what the reality is with 1D1F.
No, I can go through all the.
You do realize that if 1D1F had lived up to expectation within this period, part of our problem, we probably wouldn't be at the doorstep of the IMF. We would have industrialized. Businesses wouldn't be flailing the way they are. You do realize that.
Businesses under the one district, one factory striving. There's a shoe fabric limited under the one district, one factory. There's the Omnifet limited at Ningo Pram Pram. There's the Zura Carbon Products limited at Kwewu West. There's the Ayum Forest Products Limited. There's the Nogban Hygiene Care Industries Limited in Pong Katamanso. There's the Golden Ashanti African Consumer Products in Pong Katamanso again. There's the Sunda Ghana Diapers Limited at South. There's the Volta Star Textiles in North Tong. You know the constituency as well. There's the Navina Cattle Garment.
I'm sure we could go on and on for the sake of time.
Exactly.
But do you know why usually I take this with a pinch of salt? Because when we've had let me just make this point.
You don't have to take
when we've had a number of people come on this show and other shows.
Realities.
Sometimes you go to these places and we found some of these factories to be non-existent, some of them to be incomplete and producing nothing, and some of them even which were in existence because it's also part of the drive where some were already in private hands and government extended some sort of help. The people would tell you we're bleeding because they came, gave us a first tranche of something in terms of tax waivers and this and that, and now actually we're worse off. So you can mention the list, but when you go on the ground, it 99% is a different story.
No, I think that you water down the approach and the efforts of government with that approach, to be honest. I think that I can list these, you and I can go on the ground, would come back to your station and let the Ghanaian people see that it's 99% accurate.
Okay, so how about we do this? Derek Akwasam, let's, and that's my producer, by the way. Today's his birthday, so he's. Let's maybe do this one of these days, and we're not going to let you know which one's on the list.
No, it's fine.
We may just go to some of them randomly to see how they are faring with you in tow and our camera people.
Yes, I would be happy.
And see what the reactions are.
Yeah,
Deal?
I don't mind. It's a deal. It's a
handshake
deal.
on that?
Absolutely. And we can also go with the Secretariat because this is under the Secretariat. And then we can all see the efforts.
We'll plan it and
will
see
be good.
and see what happens.
See the efforts of work that has been done under one district, one factory. It's a concern to water down the efforts of government as it relates. Because
there's no benefit from watering down. It's not to say there are no factories.
Of course, but there are factories factories, and these are
to
evidential.
say that a lot of the time what is touted is not the reality.
Well, this is the reality.
Okay.
These are factories.
So we can always cross-check and work with your
the
list.
facts and make sure that these factories are existent. These factories are working. It's provided jobs for the Ghanaian people, provided jobs for the young people, and we are seeking to industrialize the Ghanaian economy.
Let's get into a few more issues before we wrap the conversation. I would like to look at Agenda 111. I think it's Professor Benka who recently said that, look, all that you're doing is not realistic. Because guess what? You cannot complete 111 hospitals, district and otherwise, within the period that is left. You're going to throw in a lot of our money. They are not going to be completed. You're going to leave a lot of abandoned projects. And you can't tell me that this is someone, if you know Professor Benka, you know exactly what he stands for in terms of health practice. There's also the bit about ending up with the IMF, one more time. We have a new Hotline documentary, A Nation That Begs. It boggles my mind that Ghana is the topmost producer of gold once more on the continent and beyond. We've taken it again from South Africa. We were there, they took over in 2021 or so, or 2020. We've taken over again. We're the second largest producer of cocoa. Just about a year or so ago, we're the topmost exporter of yam. Many people don't know that. We have 3 oil fields, which previous administrations did not have, which you have, your administration has. We have lithium, bauxite, manganese, which can spur you on, steel production and the rest if you want to industrialize. Why are we going to the IMF again? And how does this vicious cycle end? So Agenda 111 and the economy. And then I'll give you a final, or if you like, I could add it. The former President Mahama also says his tenure, his administration was way better than yours. What's your reaction? So 3 in 1. You can address them and then we'll wrap the conversation.
Okay, let me start with the latter because that's easier to deal with. I think that John Dramani Mahama, the former president of the land, cannot say that his tenure is more, what word did he use? I just want to get it right. What word did he use?
Oh, he says it was better than this.
It's inaccurate. It's inappropriate. I think that the Ghanaian people are aware of his leadership compared to the leadership of President Dankwa Kufuor. Definitely our tenure.
So can you break it down? What makes his claim false?
Well, if he should bring the facts out.
But what is your evidence against his?
I think that in the John Dramani Mahama, was there one district, one factory? You tell me. In the John Dramani Mahama,
were factories not put up?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it was in the John Dramani Mahama administration. Was there the industrialization of the Ghanaian economy in the John Dramani Mahama?
What are you saying, Palgrave?
Oh, well, what I'm saying is the facts. You asked me to bring the facts to bear. In the John Dramani Mahama, was there the industrialization of the Ghanaian economy in the John Dramani Mahama?
When you say industrialization, what do you mean?
What do you understand by industrialization?
I want to understand what your appreciation is of industrialization. Giving a name to something doesn't necessarily mean...
Industrialization is how, okay, we've brought automobile vehicles into this country, assembling plants. Was there the assembling of vehicles?
So that's the huge achievement. When there's local content that we're ignoring.
We didn't ignore local content. Kantanka, we invested in Kantanka. Kantanka is... How
much has been invested in Kantanka?
You can get a reference and look at it. We shared equitably in the investment of the local industries. In terms of in the John Dramani Mahama, was the Ghanaian economy dictated in the John Dramani Mahama? If you look at the number of successes that we have chalked, I don't think that the former president has a locus to state that his administration...
You say was there digitalization? The drives didn't start with this administration. The DVLA, for example, their digitalization drives did not start with this administration. Are you aware of that?
We have picked it
Are you aware of that?
We have picked it
No, you're saying there was no digitalization, and I'm telling you, are you aware of that?
Well, are you no.
When you talk about the construction of roads and infrastructure, are you saying that is not part of industrialization?
When we did the various housing address system, was that existent in the John Dramani Mahama?
You're talking about a housing address system.
Housing address system.
There was someone who also put up housing units in Saglemi. They've been wasted.
It's not wasted.
They have not? Have you been there lately?
Well,
have you seen the state of the place?
I've read the document. I've seen the state of the place. Our government is working on it to make sure that it restores it back. If you
I thought it was going to be sold, per what Francis Asensubachi said.
If you build and you don't tie that in to the needs of the people, it gets neglected. What was the purpose for which Saglami was built?
It was a housing project.
It was a housing project for which people?
Wow. For public servants, among others.
And where is it located? And where are the public servants working? You need to ensure.
You do realize, have you taken a look at the road construction in that area?
You need to ensure. You
do realize that the center is becoming packed with people, and you need to move outside of to the outskirts.
When you are decentralizing, you need to ensure that you decentralize holistically. You decentralize holistically where the various offices as well also become decentralized, which is why our government seeks to decentralize the Ghanaian economy. And so the successes that we have chalked as a government, I don't think that it comes any close to what John Dramani Mahama is claiming to have done. You look at free SHS. Was free SHS existent in John Dramani Mahama's time? Was free TVET existent in John Dramani Mahama's time? So the successes that we have chalked, I don't think that it comes anywhere close to what John Dramani Mahama is stating. Now let me move on to Agenda 111. Now, I have a data that I would speak to very clearly and very confidently. The Agenda 111 is in various zones. We've placed the construction. Just yesterday, there's a team in the central region. I can send the videos to you for you to show to your viewing public, for them to be able to see the number of works that is ongoing. The Agenda 111, there are various zones, maybe close to about eight zones, and I would just cross-reference that for you to see. So in Zone 1, and afterwards I will list them. So let me just list them. In Zone 1, all the 11 district hospitals in Zone 1 have started and they are progressing steadily. In Zone 2, the district hospitals have also started and progressing steadily. In Zone 3, 3 out of the 14 hospitals have started and ongoing steadily. Ayensuano is under another MOH project and will be replaced. 3 at Adieso, Abobloshi, and Dansuman is being redesigned into a high-rise and plans to just complete Medina, Dansuman, and the likes. Zone 4 to Zone 7, out of the 12 district hospitals, have started and progressing steadily. Ashaman, Jowulu, English, Amenfrom, we are redesigning them. Tema Community 18. Zone 5, 12 out of the 12 hospitals, district hospitals, have started and ongoing steadily. Zone 6 and 7 and 8, 11 and 15 out of the hospitals have started and progressing steadily. We are building psychiatric hospitals. Just recently, about last week, the president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, opened the aspect of Kolebu, if you recall. Did you capture that? Benjamin, I'm asking you, did you capture that?
Go ahead, we did.
You did?
We did.
Exactly.
I'm even surprised you're even going towards psychiatry because it's one of the most, in fact, when it comes to our health, when it comes to our health, one of the most deprived aspects is mental health care. I'm even surprised you're going there. That's why I'm just watching you.
No, in fact, I am excited that our government is considering that. You tell me any government that
after what? Close to 7 years. You're now considering it.
No, our government. You see, where you make it in that
way.
No,
because have you been to Pantai? When I say something, it's on a premise. Have you been to Pantai?
Are you aware?
There are doctors there. Doctors.
Are you aware?
Do you know the facility they are in?
Of course. Are you aware of the plans that we have for Pantai? It came out. You saw it. We have plans for Pantai. These psychiatric hospitals, I know they are very key.
Almost 80 years, you now have plans.
No, we have had
the doctors plans. Are in a ramshackle structure that actually could cave in at any point.
We have had those plans. The psychiatric hospital is going to be redesigned and rebuilt. We have had those plans. And I can list the hospitals for you here in Central Region, in DSO, in Western North, in Adabokrom, in Western North again, in Bodi, in Western North again, in Diadiaso, in Ahafo, in Kukum.
Okay, so here's what I want us to do. So you have the list. Have the list. But I want you to do this. I want you to do this for me. This is Professor Benka and why he feels Agenda 111 will fall flat on its face. Let's watch what he says.
One of the two critical things that we took out from the COVID was that there were not enough health facilities across the country. So we rightly started what is called Agenda 111 to increase health infrastructure. Okay? 111 hospitals. Goodness. That's a great idea. But why couldn't we just say, okay, this year we'll build 20, next year 20, till we get to what? 111. So far, we haven't built any. Okay? When is the first one going to finish? So we've just gone on a tangent. The truth of the matter is that the Agenda 111 will have many uncompleted structures in the bush at the end of the day. That's the truth. You all know it. I've not seen the budget for the equipment. Building brick and mortar is not a hospital. If you can't find money to build a brick and mortar, how are you going to fund the equipment? Number two, have you made preparations for the human resource that make the hospital function? As of yesterday, I heard 6,000 nurses have gone to real greener pastures, and more will follow. 6,000. This is not a joke. So we got 100 million to start up the Agenda 111. Look, sometimes I'm not sure how these things work, but at the last count, we were told that the Agenda 111 will cost almost $1 billion. When you get 100 million, you don't start to build 111. You have to face it in. Or now you have started 111 hospitals all over the place. Have you got the 900 million? Now we are to IMF. Big IMF comes and says, I'm sorry, you can't be investing in capital expenditure when you can't find money to pay your salaries of your workers. Or you can't give textbooks to your school people. I don't want to get into that politics.
That is Professor Benka and Professor Fred Benka. He is a professor of epidemiology at the University of Health and Allied Sciences. What's your take on that? And you mentioned something about various stages of completion. What stages? 80%, 50%, 90%? Do you know why it's relevant? You remember what we said about the stadia? 98%, 90%. Look at them now.
I won't get.
So let's know. Do you know the various stages of?
Let me start it from here. I would want to throw an invitation to Professor Benka to come on the ground. The work is on the ground. The construction is ongoing.
And who is seeing this? Okay, so I'm throwing the challenge to you and your communications team, right? Bring us footage of the work on the ground.
I would bring you footages of the work.
And we'll also be doing some.
I would bring you footages of the work on the ground. But I would also invite the professor of epidemiology to come to the sites that are being constructed. He would be marveled. He would say kudos to President Nana Dankwa for his forthrightness. Seriously, for his forthrightness. We can appreciate that. That yes, you build the hospitals are built, the hospitals are finished, the nurses and the doctors are placed there. All of these are various stages that needs to be considered, and our government has considered that. The first stage is that we're building the hospitals. I was mentioning the hospitals that are being built in the towns for you to know and for the Ghanaian people to know. I told you that we are in Central Region. The team is in Central Region. Gomoa Fete, there's Gomoa, Afranse, ongoing. Construction is ongoing. There's Asim Breku, ongoing. Ewutu, in Suamemu, Chechenwe, Heman, in Sabah, Agona Ahanta, in Poho, Ofuase, Akim Shredro, Manso, Zone 3. In Eastern Region, there is Abomosu, ongoing. There's also another one at Atimpoku. There's Tiase, there's Adieso in Zone 5, which is Greater Accra. There's Pram, there's Sege, there's Soutum, there's KJB, there's Jasikan, there's Sindri, there's Pasi. In Upper West, where my brothers and sisters are, there's Issa, there's Fusi, there's Lambusi, there's Golu, there's
I'm sure we could go on and on, but Saringu, with time, we'll find out what the various stages of completion that you've been talking about are.
Yes, I mean,
we'll get into them. Interestingly, I have a comment coming in.
Zone 7, Bono East.
Don Lewis says,
all these are ongoing.
I have witnessed 2 Agenda 111 hospitals, which are in various stages of completion. KJG, Brong East, roofing. He says roofing. And then Chinderi, Oti, which is at the foundational stage.
Accurate.
Time will tell. We'll get there.
Here. It's all here.
Palgrave, we have to end it here. Our time is up.
Usanyo. So that these hospitals are completed. So I would invite Professor Benka to move away from the lecture room and come to the site. He should wear his volunteering boots and join all of us.
Don't forget the 1D, 1F challenge. We'll try and get it out.
Not at all. Together with the Secretariat from One District, One Factory.
All right.
But our government is working assiduously,
right.
and we are making sure that we are meeting the plight and the needs of the Ghanaian people. And I can tell you that the New Patriotic Party is the party of choice for the Ghanaian people. In 2024, the Ghanaian people will make a constructive decision on who to vote for as it relates to the future of this country. And I believe that the party will be the New Patriotic Party. Thank you, Benton.
Palgrave Boakye-Danquah is government spokesperson on governance and security, and it's been another interesting one. Fireworks. All right.